Should you pay off your debt before you start investing? It sounds like a simple question, but the answer is more nuanced than most people expect. And getting it wrong in either direction can cost you a significant amount of money. There are people who will tell you debt is always the enemy. Pay it all off before you even think about investing. And there are people who will tell you to invest as early as possible, no matter what. Time in the market is everything. Both camps have a point. Neither camp has the full picture. In this video, I'm going to give you a clear, practical framework for making this decision based on your own specific situation. Not a one-size-fits-all answer. A framework you can actually apply. Before that, just a quick note before we continue. I'm not a financial advisor. This content is for educational purposes only. It's not financial advice. Always do your own research or speak to a qualified professional before making investment decisions. So, the most important number in this entire decision is one thing: the interest rate on your debt. Because here is the fundamental maths at the heart of this question. When you invest in the stock market over the long term, the historical average annual return is roughly 7 to 10%. So let's use 8% as a working number. Now here is the question. If your debt is costing you more than 8% per year in interest, what is the rational thing to do? Pay off the debt first, because every pound you put toward that debt is giving you a guaranteed return equal to the interest rate. You cannot get a guaranteed 8, 10 or 20% return from investing, but you can get it by eliminating high interest debt. And conversely, if your debt is costing you 2 or 3% per year, and you have a strong reason to believe your investments will return 7 or 8% or more, the maths begins to shift. In that scenario, investing while carrying the debt may make more financial sense. The interest rate on your debt is the starting point for every version of this conversation. So let's talk about high interest debt specifically. What actually counts as high interest? As a rough guide, anything above 6 or 7% annual interest is debt I would want to clear before investing seriously. The most common examples in the UK: credit cards. The average UK credit card charges somewhere between 20 and 30% interest per year. That is not a typo. 20 to 30%. Think about what that means. If you have £2,000 on a credit card at 25% interest, and you put £100 a month into investments, hoping to earn 8%, the interest accumulating on that card is almost certainly outpacing whatever your investments are returning. You are essentially filling a leaking bucket. Other high interest debt to prioritize would be store cards, payday loans, overdrafts with high charges, or personal loans above 7 or 8%. If I had high interest debt, I would stop or pause investing, direct every spare pound at the debt, clear it as fast as I could. Then redirect those repayment amounts straight into investing once it's gone. The momentum you build clearing debt transfers directly into building wealth. Now let's talk about low interest debt. The most common example in the UK for most people is a mortgage. If your mortgage rate or interest rate is 2, 3 or even 4%, and the long-term average return from a diversified global portfolio is 7 or 8%, then mathematically investing while carrying that mortgage might make sense. Now I want to be careful here. This is not permission to ignore debt, and personal finance is not purely about maths. Some people sleep much better at night knowing they are aggressively paying down their mortgage. That peace of mind has real value that a spreadsheet cannot capture. But if you are someone who is comfortable carrying a low interest mortgage, and your question is whether to also invest at the same time, the answer from a pure numbers perspective is often yes, because time in the market is genuinely valuable. Starting investing at 35 instead of 45, even with a mortgage in the background, can make significant difference to your long-term wealth due to compound growth. Whether having a mortgage and buying a house is a good investment is a separate conversation to be debated elsewhere. I am only talking here about scenarios. Other low interest examples: student loans in the UK, which function differently to most debt and for most people are worth understanding separately. Car finance at 0 or low percent, some personal loans below 5%. For all of these, the question is always, what is the interest rate? And how does it compare to my expected investment return? What about debt that sits in the middle? 5, 6, 7%. This is genuinely the grey area, and there is no single right answer. What I would do in this situation is a split approach. Let's say I have a personal loan at 6%, and I have £200 a month of disposable income. Rather than putting all 200 into the loan, or all 200 into investing, I might split it. £150 extra toward the loan each month, accelerating the paydown. £50 into a stocks and shares ISA each month, starting to build the investing habit. Why both? Because the investing habit is genuinely valuable to start early, even at small amounts. And because the difference in returns between 6% and debt paydown and 7 or 8% investment returns is close enough that a blend is reasonable. Once the loan is cleared, the full 200 goes to investing, and I already have the habit established. UK student loans deserve a specific mention because they are widely misunderstood. Unlike most debt, some UK student loans are repaid as a percentage of your income above a certain threshold. You do not make fixed monthly repayments, and crucially, any remaining balance is written off after a set number of years, regardless of how much is left. For most people on these plans, the student loan functions less like traditional debt and more like an additional income tax. You pay it when you earn above the threshold. It disappears after the term. Which means for most people, making overpayments on a UK student loan to clear it early is almost never the right financial decision. That money is almost always better deployed into an ISA or pension instead. I want to flag this clearly because it is one of the most common money mistakes I see in the UK. People aggressively paying off student loans that they would never fully pay back anyway. If you are on a UK student loan and unsure about your specific plan, look up your plan type on the Student Loans Company website and check the repayment and write-off terms. It is worth understanding exactly what you are dealing with. Let me give you a clear framework you can apply to your own situation right now. This is not a financial advice. This is what I would do. Step 1. List every debt I have and its interest rate. Credit cards, loans, mortgage, car finance, overdrafts, everything. Step 2. Sort them from the highest interest rate to the lowest. Step 3. Apply this filter. Any debt above 7 or 8%, prioritize paying off before investing. These are my financial fires. I want to put them out first. Any debt between 4 and 7%, I would consider a split approach. Accelerate repayments while starting to invest small amounts simultaneously. Any debt below 4%, I can generally invest alongside this debt. Make my regular payments. Let the investing do its work in the background. Step 4. Whatever I do, I always keep your emergency fund intact. 3 to 6 months of essential expenses in an easy access account. This is non-negotiable regardless of my debt situation. Step 5. Once high interest debt is cleared, redirect my repayment amount straight into investing. Do not let my lifestyle inflation absorb them. The discipline I built paying off the debt is the same discipline that builds wealth. Before I close, I want to acknowledge something that the numbers alone don't capture. Debt is not just a financial burden. For many people, it is an emotional one. The stress of carrying debt, the feeling of being behind, the anxiety of owing money. Those feelings are real, and they affect how clearly you think about everything else in your financial life. So even in the situations where the maths might technically favour investing alongside debt, if the weight of that debt is affecting your mental health and your decision making, there is a real value in clearing it first. Financial decisions are not made in a spreadsheet. They are made by human beings with emotions, stress, and real lives. The best financial plan is not the one that is theoretically optimal. It is the one you can actually stick to. If paying off debt first gives you clarity and confidence to then invest with conviction, that outcome is worth more than squeezing out an extra 0.5% or so of theoretical return. So, let me bring this all together. The question, should you pay off debt before investing, does not have one universal answer. It has a framework. High interest debt above 7 or 8%, I would pay this off first. Full stop. Medium interest debt between 4 and 7%, I'd consider splitting my available money between debt repayment and starting to invest small amounts. Low interest debt below 4%, I would invest alongside it. The compound growth potential over time is likely greater than the cost of the debt. UK student loans, for most people, I would not overpay. Invest instead. Always maintain an emergency fund. Always. And above all, choose the path you can stick to. Consistency beats optimization every single time. If you found this video useful and want to take the next step, my full beginner investing video course is something you might want to take a look at. It walks you through everything from setting your first investment goals to opening an ISA to making your first investment from scratch. It is built specifically for people who are starting from zero or are just beginners starting their journey. Simple, clear, and jargon-free. The link is in the description. Consider subscribing to the channel if you would like to follow along, and drop a comment below. Are you currently paying off debt, investing, or trying to do both? I try to read every single comment, and your situation might shape future videos. So until then, see you soon.